hook on the temple. Unbelievable.
We start with a special showcase bout.
It's an absolute monster of a lightweight. What a moment! The history-making goal!
She wasn't going for goal, but she'll happily accept it.
It's gone all the way through, and look at this! Chewinga! Did you dare write Barcelona off?
The career of one of the all-time greats is all but over.
Nice comeback.
Uma oportunidade de dizer alguma coisa que eu acho que nunca disse.
Let's get this party started!
NFL Game Pass is now exclusively on DAZN.
Let's get this thing going.
Watch every game, plus the playoffs and Super Bowl. It's your all-access pass.
That is how you fight a southpaw. Well on his way to coming back.
Katie Taylor does it again. Look at the emotion.
From the very beginning, Newcastle has been a nucleus of revolution. A city of grafters, the Toon has always been up for the fight. And as a new revolution sweeps the sporting world, Newcastle is once again at the epicenter as the world's fastest growing promotion comes to the Toon. One night, 15 fights, with plenty on the line.
Like nothing else I've ever seen. Oh, there it is!
We've got crossover. The undisputed boxing champion of the world, Savannah Marshall, makes her global MMA debut against experienced grappler and kickboxer Mirella Vargas of Brazil. Savannah wants to meet Clarissa again. She's a local hero with global ambitions.
Everybody is on their feet.
We've got the next generation of exciting mixed martial artists. We've got bad blood. We've got returning champions. This is one event in the grueling PFL Europe season where fighters can become global stars. Live from the Utilita Arena, Newcastle, this is PFL Europe.
Welcome, fight fans, to Newcastle upon Tyne. This is where it all started for PFL Europe, and we are back for incredible fights. The fastest rising promotion in the game, the fastest rising talent on the European scene, taking to the Smart Cage tomorrow night. Welcome to the weigh-ins. Flyweights, bantamweights, and one more order of business to take care of in the welterweight division as we build toward a main event featuring the world champion boxer Savannah Marshall and Mirella Vargas and Kane Musa Dylan Tuke in a stellar banger of a co-main event. And the weigh-ins tonight are going to look a little bit different than what you are used to. We'll be here at Utilita Arena, at least in the foyer, and also the iconic football ground, home of Newcastle United. St. James Park will play a role in the weigh-ins tonight. We're doing it just a little bit different as the smart cage gets set up in what will be a packed house tomorrow night at Utilita. Sean O'Connell, happy to be here once again alongside the skyscraper himself, Stefan Struve, and the legendary outlaw, Dan Hardy. I underplayed it a little bit on purpose. The main event tomorrow night, Savannah Marshall, Newcastle native, the local heroine, and she's making her mixed martial arts debut. World champion boxer, but completely new in the MMA game.
You know, a devastating puncher, really, really strong, powerful, fast hands. But of course, in mixed martial arts, there are so many other facets to the game. And Savannah's been working diligently with Andy Aspinall, Tom Aspinall, working on her kickboxing skills, working on her wrestling, her takedown defense, and her jiu-jitsu. And honestly, every time I've had a conversation with Savannah in the training camp for this, she's been telling me, first of all, how much she's enjoying the grappling, and second of all, how nice it is to feel a little bit anxious again, going in there against someone that's a very dangerous opponent.
Well, look, all of us were very anxious when we made our MMA debuts, and most of us did it against an opponent who had no experience. Well, that's not the case for Savannah. Morella Vargas is someone who's had kickboxing background. She's experienced in jiu-jitsu. She's had 3 pro fights already. I think there's a lot of reasons for Savannah to know what she's up against.
Yeah, and she knows what it's like to knock someone out with those small gloves. Small gloves, big gloves, there's a big difference. There's a different rhythm in MMA, different distance in MMA with the small gloves. There's takedowns, there's knees, there's a lot of things she needs to keep in the back of her mind can happen that haven't happened to her before, so really excited to see it.
You know what else I love about this main event and will love about Savannah Marshall jumping into the MMA space is she's not shy about the reason why. She wants to rekindle a rivalry that has existed her whole boxing life. Of course, I'm talking about the rivalry she has with Claressa Shields, who's already part of the PFL family, a 3-division champion, an Olympic gold medalist, and someone who Savannah Marshall has history with. Jan, Claressa Shields, this is what it's looked like. She made her PFL debut. She's been inside the smart cage a couple times. The learning curve has been steep.
But look, you can see that striking prowess. That was a beautiful body shot. Even the strikes on the ground, you can imagine Shields is going to have to be able to generate far more power, more precise with those shots as well. But the adjustment to not wearing shoes, to being in the smart cage, the small gloves, there are so many different changes. And you know, Claressa's got the head start. She's got the advantage. Savannah's the one that wants to catch up. And, well, she keeps telling me she wants to choke her out, so we'll see what happens with that.
Stefan, have you ever felt a rivalry so intense that you were willing to change professions in order to continue that rivalry?
Well, I didn't have to do it. I love MMA, but the rival really, Savannah beat her in the amateurs. Then Claressa beat Savannah in the pros. Claressa Shields won the Olympic gold medal in London. That hurts. That's gotta hurt.
And she's brought it with her just to rub it in as well.
She brought it with, exactly. So
that's right.
Incredible.
Claressa Shields is actually planning on being here in the building. She had a little message for Savannah Marshall.
Hard to forget, especially I think me and Savannah fight was over here, and let's not forget that I won the Olympics here. And I actually brought something. I brought this bad baby over here too. They're never going to forget that I won the Olympics over here, and they're not going to forget, you know, when I put a hurting on Savannah either for the Undisputed Championship. So, yeah, the fans love me, and I love them. Just a better fighter. I ain't got nothing against Savannah. She's tricky. It's like 1 minute she wants to be cool, and then the next minute she's in the interview saying, oh, I'm only here to knock Claressa out. I want to knock Claressa out. I want to submit her. So, you know, I don't think that we'll ever be friends when she says stuff like that. But as far as in right now, I'm the better fighter. I won the last fight we had, Undisputed Champion at 160. And, yeah.
So the stage is set. Can Savannah Marshall win her pro mixed martial arts debut and potentially ink herself a rematch with Clarissa Shields. A rematch, of course, in a totally new area of competition. Sometimes the best laid plans in MMA get interrupted, and that's what Mirella Vargas is hoping to do tomorrow night. All great reasons to watch the main event. Now let's talk about the co-main event. I know that Dan Hardy had something to do with making this match. Kane Musa, Dylan Tuke. This fight, there's no possibility that it doesn't turn out to be a banger.
Dylan Tuke.
Body shots from Musa.
Here's the high kick attempt again.
Beautiful takedown from Tuke.
Body triangle from Dylan Tuke.
Two exciting fighters squaring off in a stellar co-main event. Let's start by talking about Kane Musa. He's a veteran of the game, but I don't think we've ever seen him as hungry as he is right now.
You know, he was so excited to get in there in March in Paris to take on last year's champion Jakub Kasuba. And, you know, Kane gave a fantastic account of himself. It was a tough fight for him. He had to defend takedowns. He landed some good shots, but ultimately he stepped out the smart cage. He came straight over to us, and he's like, look, I need to get back in there as soon as possible. And knowing that Dylan Tuke had missed the start of the season, it just made sense to match these two together. They're both wild. They're both very, very different characters and very different fighters, but aggression and action is assured.
Well, you can see later when we face these guys off, there's a different physical profile here. You got, well, that's the Dylan Tuke, tall, rangy, and then Musa just shredded the compact fighter. How much does that play into this one?
That's you?
That's me.
It's going to be really interesting because the movement of Tuke is absolutely unique. He is unique. I don't think you'll find a better fighter on the planet with his record. His record doesn't do him justice. The progression he has shown last year, absolutely incredible, not only in the striking, but on the ground. So just a really interesting matchup with all the experience Musa has. Can't wait to see it.
I told you we had one more order of business to conduct in our welterweight regular season. In Belfast, we had a fight drop off the card. Well, this one will determine who moves on to complete our welterweight bracket. Jack Grant, Charlie Leary, an all-England affair happening here in Newcastle. Just as a refresher, a reminder, this is what it looks like. Ibrahim Amane looked great. Daniela Michele moves on. And whoever wins this fight tomorrow night will take on Florim Zendeli and continue the chase for a $100,000 PFL Europe Championship. I can't show you a bracket and how this season works without explaining how it works. PFL Europe, it goes like this. 8 fighters in each weight class, 4 different divisions. 1 regular season fight. Winners will progress to the semifinals. Semifinal winners, of course, qualify for the final. If you win a PFL Europe Championship, you get $100,000, and maybe, just maybe, you impress enough to move on to the PFL Global season, where, of course, you're part of another season format. That time, though, you're chasing $1 million and a beautiful gold belt. Stefan, I don't know if I've told you, I have one of those at home.
The OG season winner. Nobody will ever be able to say that, Sean.
Here's the rest of our PFL Europe schedule. We had a great time in France. Newcastle, England. That's where we are today and tomorrow. Glasgow will play host to our playoffs, the first PFL trip to Scotland, and then we'll be back to France in Lyon for a championship, and we will crown 4 different division winners there. So a lot coming, a lot of excitement, but before we move on, let's talk about this matchup. Welterweights, both of these guys very experienced. Grant, the physical specimen here, what does he need to do?
Look, he's a fantastic grappler. We saw that against the Lazy King back in March. If this fight hits the floor, that's where Jack Grant's going to feel like his skills are really going to come into play. But since he's moved up to welterweight, I don't know how he ever made lightweight. There's not a shred of fat on the guy. Then on the other side, you've got Charlie Leary, who's pushing forward into range, high guard. He knows he can punch. He's knocked out many a man. This is a really interesting striker v grappler matchup, but of course, in the 21st century, it's never that simple.
I want to talk about Leary. Everybody knows now, PFL purchased Bellator, acquired the whole Bellator roster. That's where Leary comes from. This is a guy with a lot of experience, and a lot of experience on the big stage. Is that a factor tomorrow?
Not only a lot of experience on the big stage, a lot of experience knocking people out, and that's exactly what we'll need to look for. As you said, Dan, Grant has looked phenomenal. Best shape we've ever seen him in. We were surprised by that in Paris. Great grappling, great wrestling, but Leary's got knockout power.
That's the leveler. That's the level of the knockout power, right?
100%.
This one promises to be a barn burner. And it's one of 14 fights on the card in Newcastle. We actually planned for 15. We were able to deliver on 14. Here's how it looks. We just talked about those top three. Louis McGrillen, Matthias Zaharovs. Those guys have been going at it all week long. If you're not following PFL on social, shame on you, because you've missed some great stuff. And you know, I thought Chanel Dyer and Mariam Torchinova, they would probably get along just fine. That has not been the case either. So a stellar main card, and of course we will build toward that from our early card. A broad selection here. Of course, we have our PFL Europe bouts as the European fighters chase a $100,000 championship in their respective divisions. Some showcases at play here, some old rivalries renewed. A little bit of everything for the fight fan. Okay, I told you, 2 locations. We're here at the Utilita right now. St. James Park is going to play a role coming up later on tonight. But without any further ado, I think that it might be time to get some fighters to the scale. For that, we go to the voice of our PFL cage, Andy Shepard.
Yes, thank you, Sean. Welcome everyone here to the Utilita Arena in Newcastle, a city that saw the birth of PFL Europe just a little over a year ago. Tomorrow night, we're going to see just how far this brand has come with a scintillating card from top to tail, including a standout main event. All we've got to do now is weigh in our fighters. And to help us do that, let's first bring out our head of fighter operations for PFL Europe, Dan Hardy. And to the scales first, our first contest of the evening tomorrow night. Introducing first, in the blue corner, fighting out of Ostrava, Poland, Paulina Wisniewska. Official weight 125.1 pounds for Paulina. And her opponent in the red corner, fighting out of Dublin, Ireland, Dee Begley. £130.3 for Dee.
That was a miss for Dee Begley. Dee Begley misses weight here, so her opponent will take home some of the show purse.
2 great grapplers starting the card tomorrow. 28 amateur fights for Wisniewski. Sean.
Up next, a bantamweight contest. Alexander Luster, Alperen Karabulut.
Introducing first to the scales, in the blue corner, fighting out of Sivas, Turkey, Alperen Karabulut. Official weight 135.6 pounds for Alperen.
6 of 10 wins have come inside the distance. First representative from PFL Europe to wave that Turkish flag.
And an opponent in the red corner, fighting out of Cologne, Germany, Alexander Luster.
Two very young fighters in this second fight of the evening. 2 fight finishers. 7 wins for Alexander Luster. 4
Official
knockouts.
weight 135.8 pounds for Alexander.
4 knockouts, 3 submissions. This is going to be one to watch tomorrow night.
Little message being delivered here. But smiles in the end. Action moves to the featherweight division. Two men making their PFL Europe debuts. Ben Woolis, Nikola Ivanovic.
Up next, in the blue corner, fighting out of Castlebar Island, Nikola Ivanovic. Official weight 144 pounds. And his opponent in the red corner, fighting out of Birmingham, England, Ben Woolis.
A two-time K1 World Kickboxing Champion, Sean. 3 pro MMA fights so far, 2 submissions.
Official weight 144.7 pounds for Ben.
It's a scary thought for your opponent going into a fight like that.
Exactly what you would expect from a kickboxing world champion, to focus on the submission game once they get into the cage, right?
Take him to the ground and he ends up on your back choking you out.
Flyweight PFL Europe regular season contest. Valentina Scatizzi, Marie Guasson.
And our next contest, first up in the blue corner, fighting out of Paris, France, Marie Lucier.
She will be looking to take this fight to the ground. 3 submission finishes in 6 pro wins.
Official weight 125.4 pounds. And her opponent in the red corner, fighting out of Rome, Italy, Valentina Scatizzi.
Last season's finalist. Had a really good performance here a year ago in Newcastle. Will look to make her way to the final again this year. We saw her brother in Paris.
125.9 pounds.
Looking forward to see how she has progressed since.
From there we go to the bantamweight division. Khorshid Kokarov, Tomas Granval.
First up in the blue corner, fighting out of Helsinki, Finland, Tomas Granval.
Another submission specialist here, and he's got a tough task in front of him. Khorshid Kokarov, he won last year's PFL Europe Championship. He's back attempting to repeat, and Granval
134 pounds for Thomas.
To take on the #1 from last year. Had no problem accepting this fight.
And his opponent in the red corner, fighting out of Gelsenkirchen, Germany, Khorshid Kokarov.
As you said, Sean, last year's champion, one of my favorites last year. Incredible striker, very elusive, very creative. It's incredibly hard to time this man.
135.7 pounds for Khorshid.
One of the favorites again this season.
Up next, lightweight contest. Mark Ewan, Claudio Pacello.
First in our next contest, fighting out of the blue corner, from Dublin, Ireland, Claudio Pacello. 155.6 pounds for Claudio.
Lost a tough decision last time out to Patrick Habirora, hoping to make this second season.
Next up, in the red corner, fighting out of Parliament, Scotland, Mark Ewan.
Mark Ewan finally gets to make his PFL debut after a fight fell through in Paris earlier this year. If you've seen this man fight, you know why there's so much hype around this man.
Weight 155.1 pounds for Mark.
5 pro fights so far, 4 knockouts, 1 submission.
More regular season action up next. This in the flyweight division. Lizzie Havers and Karolina Wojcik.
Introducing first in the blue corner, fighting out of Krakow, Poland, Karolina Wojcik.
Wojcik likes to drag her opponents into deep water, set a pace, and push it into the later rounds.
125.3 pounds for Karolina. And her opponent in the red corner, fighting out of Den Bosch, Netherlands, Lizzie Havers.
It's good to see my fellow countrywoman back in action after her PFL debut last year here in Newcastle.
124.9 pounds for Havers.
Comes from a judo background but trains with one of the best strikers ever in women's MMA, Germana de Randami. Can't wait for this one tomorrow night.
You got to put the flag in the other hand. All you young fighters out there, the flag's got to go in the back hand so it doesn't ruin the photo op.
Tell him, Sean.
Regular season contest in the bantamweight division. Dom Wooding, Julian Lopez.
And our next contest first in the blue corner, fighting out of Arles, France, Julian Lopez.
There were a lot of people who got called to be a late replacement for Dom Wooding. And a lot of people said, no way.
135.4 pounds for Julian.
This man accepted the fight, said, I'm going to beat him.
I would have said no way too, Sean.
And his opponent in the red corner, fighting out of London, England, Dominic Wooding.
When Dominic Wooding fights, you tune in. 9 wins, 9 knockouts. 2 wins by head kick, 2 flying knee knockouts.
135.7 for Wooding.
Phenomenal striker. Incredible fight finisher.
Featherweight contest up next. Ibrahim Ibrahimov, Josh Reed.
Introducing first in the blue corner, fighting out of Glenavon, Wales, Josh Reed.
13 pro wins, 8 of those have come via submission. Josh Reed will be looking to take this fight to the ground.
145.1 for Reed. And his opponent in the red corner, fighting out of Manchester, England, Ibrahim Ibrahimov.
A lot of hype around this undefeated young fighter, hoping to continue the proud Dagestani tradition in the sport. Fighting a much more experienced opponent here. Josh Reed has 4 times the fights as Ibrahim Ibrahimov. right, that's going to wrap up the early card, and that means we actually have to send Dan Hardy off to St. James Park, so hopefully he'll get to scurrying. Utilita Arena, that's where we're doing it right now. The iconic football ground of Newcastle United. We'll see some action there. So that, well, I got to move some parts around here. I got to send Stefan Struve up to the stage to make sure nothing pops off. And that means another combat sport legend here on UK soil, Gareth A. Davies. What a pleasure.
Mr. O'Connell, it's a pleasure to be with you. I tell you what, 28 fighters, 16 countries I noticed, some big stars, some crossover stars, next generation stars. Really, really looking forward to this. Newcastle is a football and fight town. I've been here many times. Joe Calzaghe, Amir Khan, all the MMA organizations. I am stoked, my brother.
He'll be here on the coverage, not only tonight, but tomorrow night for the fights as well. Anytime I can get in the same building as Gareth Davies, I'm game for it. Let's get back to the weigh-ins, and our main card is now up. Chanel Dyer, Mariam Turchinova.
And our next fight in the blue corner, fighting out of Berlin, Germany, Mariam Turchinova. Official weight 125.7 pounds for Mariam.
11 pro fights for this young woman. That's a lot more experience than Chanel Dyer.
And her opponent in the red corner, fighting out of London, England, Chanel Dyer.
But you know as well as I, the hype around this young woman who's only 4 fights into a pro career that a lot of people think
125.7.
Heavy-handed, aggressive fighter. Yes, she hasn't got the experience, but wow, look at this. Look at that. There's some venom here. Really looking forward to this one, Sean.
That's why I sent Stefan Struve up there. I actually thought his size would be a deterrent for that kind of tomfoolery.
He needs to be a little bit quicker off the mark, I think, don't you?
I'll let you tell him that. Bantamweight's up next. And look, I wondered if we were going to get a little venom in that last contest. I know we are going to in this one. Lewis McGrill and Matis Zaharovs.
Yeah, but Struve's had his warm-up, hasn't he? So he'll be ready for them this time.
Right, our next contest. Introducing first in the blue corner, from Kildare, Ireland, Matis Zaharovs. Official weight 135.2 pounds for Matis.
This man is looking to take your head off. 5 knockout victories.
And in the red corner, his opponent, fighting out of Manchester, England, Lewis McGrill.
But he too, Sean, is a heavy-handed exponent. We are getting a firefight here tomorrow night, I think. This could well be the fight of the night.
Official weight 135.4 pounds for the McGrizzler.
And look at that little preemptive arm stretch there for Stefan Struve. The skyscraper, he's not having any of it right now. These two have been jawing back and forth at one another on social, in the hotel, everywhere.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Look at them. And they look in peak condition, the pair of them as well. Looking forward to a barn burner tomorrow night. They are really ready to go.
We're actually going to have Stefan Struve have a little chat with these two individuals because...
Lewis, come in.
You know what?
Lewis, we'll go here. Come on, this way.
Struve, let's hear what Lewis McGrill has to say.
Lewis, the intensity here, I think, says it all. Like a lot of back and forth between you guys. He called you a guy with just the left hand.
That's typical, innit? You know what it is, right? What I've learned the last few weeks with him, he don't have his own vocabulary. Like, he's clearly an NPC. Like, you know what I mean? 80% of people don't have an inner conscious, and I can just tell he don't have one. But one thing that's for certain, I'm going to put him unconscious.
Thank you. Looking forward to it tomorrow.
Thank you, mate.
Matisse, finally good to have you here at PFL. You hear what he said? What's going to happen tomorrow?
Yeah, he's going to try and knock me out with that left hand, and when he realises that left hand won't work, I'm going to clip him as he's trying to ping me with that left hand. I'm going to show the full mixed martial arts ability in there tomorrow.
Can't wait for the video tomorrow. Thank you.
All right, so both of these guys just dismissive of the other's ability, but the paper, it says, I'm looking at their records, I've seen the resume, I've called a Lewis McGrillen fighter too. Both of these guys have power.
They are both finishers, and I think that's the key to victory here. Who holds their nerve? It's going to be an emotional battle for both men. They're both ready to go. Stefan Struve literally having them on a harness. He had two fighters on a harness there. They will go at the bell tomorrow. The man who makes the first mistake may end up losing the bout, in my view.
Well, the good news for us is when you put Stefan Struve on the stage, 2 bantamweights make 1 Stefan Struve, so you know nothing serious can develop there. We're in Newcastle for PFL Europe action. Why are we in Newcastle? Well, this happens to be the stomping grounds, the home of a world champion boxer who's making her mixed martial arts debut. Of course, I'm talking about Savannah Marshall.
Savannah Marshall, the silent assassin they call her. A boxing icon from the streets of Hartlepool. A hero carrying her hometown on her back. Meet her, she smiles softly, charmingly. But she is a warrior who lets her fists do the talking, a bruiser who's never backed down from a fight, the woman who has set herself up for a monumental challenge. Savannah will step into the smart cage for PFL Europe to make her MMA debut at the Utilita Arena in Newcastle, against the fierce Brazilian Mirella Vargas in what will be the main event of the evening.
You probably recognize that voice if you're a Newcastle United or British football fan, period. That's Jeff Stelling, who happens to be from the same hometown as Savannah Marshall. As we send things over to St. James Park, I think you'll recognize another icon in British broadcasting. This man, of course, more closely associated with the combat sports. Adam Smith at St. James Park.
Thanks very much, Sean. Adam Smith here from the boxing world, but really excited about this PFL Europe event Saturday night in Newcastle. And what better venue to weigh the 3 remaining fights in than here, in the iconic St. James's Park. The Toon Army, the noise here, absolutely brilliant. Dan Hardy sprinted from the Utility Arena. Well done. No football from you, Dan, today. Just keep nice and still there. My word, on atmosphere, on match days, incredible in here. Let's try and build up some excitement because we have 3 terrific fights left to weigh in. First up, it is an all-English affair, and it is in the welterweight regular season. Let's bring to the scales, fighting out of Watford in his 33rd appearance in MMA, the very experienced 917, Charlie Leary. Charlie's got 17 fights. Really seasoned and a massive opportunity. Fighting out of the blue corner. The welterweight limit. Charlie weighs in at 170.2 pounds. 170.2 pounds for Watford's very own Charlie Leary. Well done, Charlie. Great stuff. And Charlie's opponent, another very, very seasoned man. He comes from Grimsby. He's the popular Jack Grant. Jack fighting out of the red corner in this all-English welterweight regular season matchup. 28 fight for Jack, he's won 19. another exciting and powerful PFL Europe contender, weighing in exactly the same, 170.2 pounds. We have a fight in the welterweight division, Charlie Leary and Jack Grant. Dan will just bring them together. Excellent respect between these pair. Good to see. So much on the line. Excellent to see as they pose for the pictures in this wonderful setting, and the sun shining too at the home of Newcastle United. Charlie Leary, Jack Grant. Thank you guys, and best of luck tomorrow, Saturday night, Utilita Arena. PFL Europe coming to the city of Newcastle. Let's get straight on with the co-main event. And we'll bring to the centre circle, originally and fighting out of D1 in Dublin, but training and very proud of it from Bathgate in Scotland. It is Dylan the Nuke Took. $155.7 for Dylan Took. Well, there's a sprint to the scales there. Dylan ready to go. 7 wins so far. Slow burner, but he's asked Dan Hardy for this opportunity, and Dan has delivered. In the red corner, fighting out of Manchester, Dylan's opponent, it's Kane Musa. Kane Musa taking in St James's Park. Welcome to the scales, Kane. 6-time Bellator, 14 victories, 6 defeats. The danger from Manchester. Danger from Manchester.
Let's go.
Co-main event at lightweight. 155.5 pounds. Kane Musa. Look at him, ripped and ready to go.
I have a frame over in here. I'll do sign language. Let's give it them. Baseball. I'm such an animal.
Well, there's a different face-off for you. Excellent. Well done, Kane. Well done, Dylan.
Yeah,
Go well tomorrow night. Go well tomorrow night. Enjoy that.
This is killed us both, man.
The co-main event, what a character, Dylan Took against Kane Musa. Don't miss that. And let's weigh in the main event now. At catchweight, we welcome to Newcastle, all the way from Ponta Grossa in Brazil. For her 4th professional fight, it's Mirella Vargas. Decked in PFL with the black and white colours of the tune as well, with the Brazilian flag on. Nice welcome to Dan Hardy and Mirella Vargas at catchweight. In her 4th professional fight, on her debut she won in 12 seconds. 158.7 pounds. 158.7 out of the blue corner. It's Mirella Vargas. And the moment that many have been waiting for. The transition from boxing into MMA and into PFL Europe. We welcome into Newcastle, into St James's Park, the Northeast's very own boxing sensation, the superstar that is the silent assassin, Savannah Marshall. Savannah Marshall has fought plenty of times in Newcastle, and I'm sure hopes one day to be fighting on this very pitch. But business first, her debut in MMA
And Savannah hits the scales at 160.8 pounds, 160.8 for Savannah Marshall, the pride of Hartlepool, the pride of the Northeast. Savannah Marshall, Maria Vargas, main event Saturday night. Congratulations, ladies, Maria Vargas and Savannah Marshall. Savannah, let's grab a quick word. St James's Park, Newcastle, back where you love so much, but back in a completely different world. How excited or how nervous are you about Saturday night?
Oh wow, I'm really excited. Really excited. Even the whole fight week is totally different from being a boxer. It really is. And look, massive thank you to the PFL, even all the fighters on the card. They've just been so welcoming, so supportive. Look, I'm ready, I'm excited. This is it.
You've done everything in boxing, world amateur champion, of course a two-weight world champion in the pros, but now you go into the smart cage. How have you been adapting? Have you been adapting well enough? Have you had long enough? Are you good to go on the floor as well as with your hands?
Yeah, look, I've been doing this for 9 months, so I've had to have a quick, what would you call it, advanced lesson in MMA, and look, at times it's been heartbreaking, I'm not gonna lie, it's been so hard, something that I totally underestimated it. But look, I'm here, I'm happy, I'm ready to go.
You look good, but you're a competitor, aren't you? You love a challenge, and Maria Vargas comes with that. You saw her professional debut, we've watched that together. It didn't last long.
Oh look, for the first time in a long time, but I'm going in there as with the least experience. This is my debut. She's 3 fights under her belt, so no, it doesn't get much tastier than that.
And finally, one Claressa Shields will be watching in the smart cage. She's been there before, and that's not finished yet, is it?
No, definitely not. She got that win over me, and look, I want it back.
But you've got to win tomorrow night.
Oh, 100%. I can't look past Morella at all. It's all on Saturday.
It's all on Saturday. Savannah Marshall, thank you very much. Maria Vargas in front of you. Saturday night, the Utility Arena. Back to the arena and back to Shaw now. We can't wait.
Thank you, Adam. I like this. I like the back and the forth. I like the iconic football ground and the gritty Utility Arena where it all takes place tomorrow night. Some final thoughts here, Sean O'Connell, Stefan Struve. You okay? You okay after
I'm
that
still
stage
in
duty?
shock by the strength of our female flyweight there.
That's thankfully he made it back safely, and of course Gareth Davies. I want to start with you because Savannah Marshall is making her MMA debut. She's doing it in a main event on home soil. There is an immense amount of pressure on Savannah Marshall. Not that she's never dealt with pressure before, but this is a whole new game.
Yeah, it's an experiment in many ways, and she looks fantastic on the weight, I've got to say. That's back to her Olympic amateur weight at middleweight. We know that she's an undisputed super middleweight champion in boxing at 168. We know what the prize is if she can come through the Brazilian, but she's got to come through her first of all. She's worked really hard on her ground game. For me, she has to keep it long, use her hands, not kick too much, and just do what she knows. As we saw with Claressa Shields when she came into the sport, you ease your way in. You ease your way into this sport.
I'm glad you brought that up. Claressa Shields made her PFL debut against someone who wanted to take her down and successfully did so. And what happened? Well, Claressa Shields got on top in that fight and hammered her way to a victory. Could we see the same thing from Savannah Marshall, where she actually enjoys the work on the ground?
From the footage that I have seen training with Andy Aspinall, like that's probably the best place for her to go, because Tom Aspinall wanted to go to pro boxing, so he knows how to move into MMA and become a superstar in MMA. With their help, I think it's very possible, but I want to see that hand speed. I want to see her boxing tomorrow night, what she's good at. That's what everybody's coming to see there tomorrow night here in Newcastle.
And if Savannah Marshall can win this fight, especially in convincing fashion, I think we get a rematch between her and Claressa Shields inside the PFL Smart Cage. It's going to be a huge night tomorrow at Utilita Arena. We've got fighters chasing a $100,000 PFL Europe Championship, the women's flyweights, the men's bantamweights, one more fight in the welterweight division, some incredible showcases, a stellar co-main event that promises to be a banger, and of course, the aforementioned main event between Mirella Vargas and the world champion boxer, Savannah Marshall. Gareth, you're going to be there?
I am indeed, and I cannot wait for this. Savannah Marshall, Caressa Shields. If this comes off, yes, please. They've got a rivalry here, crisscrossing 15 years, but she's got to do it against Vargas.
You're going to be there.
I'll be right beside you.
We're going to have Dan Hardy. We sent him away to St. James Park, so we're going to get him back here at Utilita Arena, and it's going to be an incredible night of fights in the north of England. We're here in Newcastle. Be with us tomorrow night. PFL Europe regular season continues. Lewis McGrillen, Matiz Zaharovs, and then we went over. I love this. We got to do this every time. I want these big stadiums to be part of PFL Europe everywhere we go. Kane Musa, Dylan Tuke in a co-main event. And that is what we're all waiting for. The mixed martial arts debut of Savannah Marshall